So when we discussed last time, we talked about using something what's called a scanner method. Am I right? So scanner method, it's a built-in function in Java that allows us to capture certain information. Now, the first and the most important thing is, if we want to use that option, we need to import libraries, or we need to import methods that are stored for us to communicate the right way. And that's done through importing a library. You know, it's like library over here. If you want to find a certain information, you need to go to the certain section. Am I right? So if you're looking for a book about history, you go to which section?
History.
History section. So similarly over here, when you say import Java util scanner, you are telling computer, hey, look at that section. I might use something from that section. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this import, you need to look that as a library, you know, as a certain section depending on what we are going to use. If we don't have that, what would happen? If we don't have that, computer will say cannot find scanner, cannot find the object. So if we try to run it, it's not going to work because computer cannot recognize that option. But now when we have that, now everything seems to work well. Okay, so now what we talk about is using scanner option. So first we have like a declaration. Okay, so Anna, can you tell me what does this int age user equals 0 mean?
It means that the integer is age user and it's 0.
Initially it's equal 0. Yeah, so we assign the value and we declare a variable that's called age user. Am I right? Okay, so can you, Sasha, tell me what the next two lines mean?
I don't know. I didn't really get the last class too much.
Okay, so did you have a chance to go over things back home?
Not really, since I don't know.
Okay, so this thing with variables, did we do this last time or time before?
I think last time.
No, the last time we talked about scanner. These variables we did a couple of like 2 classes ago. We talked about variables. So what did we discuss about what are variables? Variables, those are places where we store information. Am I right? So when we write something like this, so what we're saying to computer, double, that means computer is telling him what type of information you are going to give him. Desnum, that's a name, label, so we can call that however we want.
That was a decimal, right?
Yes, that's a decimal, exactly. And then this is assigned value for that label. So now wherever we go through program, we can use desnum and we can do something with that. Okay? Mm-hmm. So these 3 lines, this is what we are declaring 3 different variables and we are assigning them values. So integer value, decimal value, and string, text value. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, the next line is important. So the next line is actually initializing this object that we are going to use. Okay? So scan.
I don't know why, but I tried to type that line and it didn't work.
Okay, so we will try today one more time. So scanner, that's the name of
do you need to do this before this, or can you just do this first?
You can do this first. You can do this first. So if I change the order, if I put this over here, it's going to work also. You just need to do this before you start using it. But this line, actually, you can look the same way. Let's try to compare it.
What does that line do?
This line. Okay, so what this line does is initialize the object called scanner so we can use whatever has whatever is that an object. Okay, so scanner, that's the name of the object. It's like an int. So that's the name of that's the type of the variable. My scanner, that's the name. I can change this easily. I can call it however I want. Okay, so this is label. This is like HUser. Equally is equal. Now this is a little different. This is called constructor, and this just means that I'm creating space and I'm creating a new variable. That's off of this object. So you just need to remember. You just need to remember this line. So there is, you will understand it more once when you get a little more advanced. But in order to use input method, you need to remember two lines. You need to remember this line, which is import Java utility scanner, and you need to remember this line. Okay. Now, what we did with this is we actually initialize this object that we can now use. So how we are using? Well, let's say we write on the screen, what's your name? Okay. Now we can assign the value. We know that age user is integer. Am I right? And we can say we can assign the value, and we can use now my scanner dot, and then next int. It's going to wait until you put the text.
But
so
next int is only for the integers.
It's only for the integer. Yes.
Different.
Yes. So what you have is so technically you're using this label that you put, my scanner, and then you can use different options. You can use next int. You can use, that's for integer. You can use next double. That's for decimal. Or you can just use next line, that's for string. Now let's see what will happen when we do this, when we run this. When we run this, it will say our initial age is 0. What's our age? We'll put, and this computer will stop here, and it stops until we put something. If we don't touch this for an hour, it's not going to do anything. It really waits our input. So when we put, let's say we put...
Until it runs out of battery.
Until it runs out of battery, or yeah. If we put 8, let's say we put 8, next thing is it will calculate how old will be 10 years from now. How we calculate? Well, we capture this information 8 now in age user, so 10 years from now will be actually age user plus 10. So now when we press, it will say 10 years from now will be 18. Now it asks us a decimal number. So if we put now decimal number 5.8, it will print out that number, or it will print out something else. I actually played with this. So, okay, so let's say it will print out the decimal number.
Negative 0.1.
Yeah, so, okay. So, let's cancel. So let's do one more time. So, if I, what did I put now?
What does run anyway mean?
Run means to run a program.
Yeah, but
means to start.
If you press run anyway, what happens?
What happens is computer builds all this information and it starts executing it. So you have something what's called compiler, which transfers all this data that you understand into machine language that the computer understands, and it just runs those information.
Does it? Oh, do you ever do it, or sometimes or not really?
That's built in this software. So software does that transformation because computer really doesn't understand this. This is for you to understand. But then there is a middle processing, software that tells him, okay, this means for you this, and then he starts executing. So what's your age? We put 8, we got 18. Let's enter the decimal number. We get that decimal number. What's your first and last name? Okay, I missed something. And then it will say your name is. So that's what we did over here. So we introduced 3 different types how we can work with information. Okay, we can scan integer, we can scan double, decimal, and we can scan string.